by the rivers of Babylon. Yeah, we sat down and we cried when we remembered Jerusalem. We were sick, Lord, near to dying. Oh,
Shalom, shalom, family. Welcome to another Tanakh review. My name is Uziel Lewy, one of the teachers of Congregation BINAH, CHOKMAH, BINAH, located in the Red Hook section of Brooklyn, New York. Giving all glory and honor to the Most High, King of the universe, Yehudah, for life, food, clothing, and shelter, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Giving due respect to the leadership of our congregation, even Chief Prince Yediel Ben Yissaskar, thanking the Most High God for his life, praying that the Creator continue to be with him and his family, even in the time of their loss. And I pray that the Most High God will strengthen them and keep them. Also, sending out an early Shabbat Shalom to everyone out there on the internet land who listens on a weekly basis. We appreciate your support. We appreciate all that you do for this channel and your full support for Congregation BINAH, CHOKMAH, BINAH. In every which way, and watching, subscribing, liking videos, monetary, however it might be, we appreciate it on every level, your support towards us. So we're going to move straight ahead, and I'm going to pass this on to one of my teachers and one of my mentors, even Nasik Zurishaddai ben Yehudah, so he could proceed today with Proverbs 15. How are you, Nasik?
Great, Baruch Hashem. First of all, I'd like to praise to the Supreme Eternal Universe, God, my forefathers, God, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Due respect to the platform I'm on, a D.C.B channel platform, spiritual leader, Chief Prince Yediel Ben Yissaskar. Also to the host, Chief Uziel. Hope you feel a lot better. You got a little bit of a bug going on. So I pray you get a complete healing in that area. And to the princes, chief, brothers and sisters, Rabbinate, Kohanim, Maureen, visitors to the channel, I greet you all in the time of my forefathers. Shalom Aleichem in the early Shabbat Shalom. I'd like to start off with Adonai Septai Taku V'Yagiti Theaka. Oh Lord, open down my lips and my mouth shall declare thy praise. I mean, I'm going through the 15th chapter of Proverbs. Before I get there, I'd like to highlight some things from the Sidra and the last Sidra, being this one of the most epic parts of the beginning of our nation as a people. So I would like to, before I do that, I'd like to address I only had one question. Basically, that's a personal question that was asked in reference to why I don't drink wine. And I was given permission to drink, smoke, all that kind of stuff at 12 years old. I'm not being a firstborn, only, none of my other siblings got that kind of permission. I was able to drink, I was able to smoke at 12 years old, as long as I brought my own. So that means I couldn't be sitting up there drinking with my mother and stuff or anybody like that. I had to buy my own, or unless my peers had some. So that newfound privilege or freedom, I thought cigarettes at that time was 25 cents a pack. So I didn't know how to inhale, but I thought it was cool. And since I didn't get nothing out of it, and people talk about it's sweet and tasty and mine, they just started getting a few cigarettes with filters, but most of them had no filters on the end. I'm watching a lot of cowboy movies, old army movies, and smoking in the movies. It was a sign of, grown-up stuff. Well, I didn't like it. And also, I didn't like the taste of wine. I tried that, and I like it. It's like similar to some harsh old homemade remedies they gave you to drink when you had a cold or something other than castor oil or cod liver oil. So I didn't like the taste of that. And being, money a quarter meant a lot more back then. You could buy a lot more junk food back then with a quarter than get a bunch of cigarettes and just burn it up. So, and then a lot of guys that was older than me wanted the cigarettes. They was older than me. I want to be around them. So they smoking up my cigarettes and I'm paying for it. And I really didn't smoke. I hardly smoked. And the drinking, I didn't like the taste. I didn't see some of the older guys taste, drink, and they get, what we say, tore up on the floor and always barfing, talking crazy, all out of character. So, and I said, I don't want that for me. I like to be in control of my faculties. So that's basically, that was my own choice, not a religious choice, not a spiritual journey choice per se. That was just the basic reasons why I don't drink or smoke. And I've always been pretty athletic coming up. So I just didn't, so that's one of the reasons. So those that, drink, nothing wrong with it, as far as our way of life is concerned. Just everything must be done decently and in order, moderation. And also when I got to be a lot older, in my teenage bracket, early, in the early 20s, I noticed that most people that drank or get, inebriated or some kind of form of either, alcohol or drugs or others, they would want to talk philosophy, spiritualism, and either talking spiritualism and talking scriptures. And I'm around a lot of people in my community, and then outside people as well, and everybody want to become great philosophers. And I found that as sort of disrespectful at that time to discuss things like that, only because, not because you don't, I look at you as being a worse individual. It's because I'm clear-headed and I'm giving you 100% of my attention. And I don't know what percentage of your faculties I'm getting. So I didn't think it was fair to discuss anything that's spiritual or any philosophy concept, because I'm giving you 100% of a clear head, and I'm not sure what kind of head you have. So those are some of my reasons that I don't do that. And even today when I encounter different people, sometimes I got to ask you a question about the scripture, or I want to discuss this about the scripture, and I be polite, but I try to keep the conversation very, very brief, because I know if I see you drinking, I don't know what level I'm getting from you, but I know I'm giving you 100% of me. So that's so much for that area. And that's the only question I really seen. I want to address a statement that was made by Sister B about leprosy that was in Barbados as well. And the Zara'at, as it's described in the scriptures, I didn't look it up to see what was the report of what they refer to as leprosy in Barbados. I haven't looked it up and investigated myself. So I'm just want to just bring out this point that what they translate as leprosy, Zara'at, is a non-contagious thing from human being to another human being. Also is the symptoms. They have various different symptoms in that area there. And if a person had Zara'at these days and times, all he could do is just pray that he get better, because it was described in scriptures that there's no kind of physical medicine that you could apply to the body. And the skin is basically the largest organ of the body. There's nothing that you could apply to that organ to get rid of that only that's a divine thing, and only divinely it's getting, it goes away or becomes, a different other thing that they might call a clean Sarah type person. All right, so those are only two things I've seen in the comments and on the chat. So now I'm going to go back to, before we go into the Sidra bow, I want to finish off the last part, go back over just to bring out a couple of points in the last part of the previous Sidra in the ninth chapter, which was the 29th verse. And that's after the talking about the hail, and the 28th verse. All right, 28th verse. I like to say that's Pharaoh talking to Moses, and I want to bring this point out here. 28th verse of that 9th chapter. Entreat the Lord, and let there be enough of these mighty thunderings and hail, and I will let you go, and ye shall stay no longer. And Moses said unto him, which is Pharaoh pleaded, and Moses said unto Pharaoh, as soon as I am going out of the city, I will spread forth my hands unto the Lord. The thunder shall cease, neither shall there be any more hail, that thou mayest know that the earth is the Lord. But as from thee and thy servants, I know that you will not fear the Lord God. All right, so when we look at some of these miracles, we don't really see the real strong dynamic sometimes when we just read it. Here it is. The hails, people that fear God would bring their animals in, and they stay inside in the shelter. Those that didn't fear God stayed out in the field. Here it is that Pharaoh called Moses, and then the hail is bad enough, but noise is any unwanted sound. Thunder, that's a sound that you really don't want to hear. It's not a glamorous thunder, even though you might find guys with drums and orchestras would get that thunder and boom, 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 all that. But it's not really a glamorous sound that the average person wants to hear. And it's often more frightening, the thunder. So you're hearing this sound, this strong sound of thunder, and yet you got hail, water, ice, and fire intermingled coming down. And then after that particular plague, which was the 7th plague, you call for Moses. The thing that's miraculous that he walking out there. It's not like he got a canopy over his head. Him and Aaron comes out there to Pharaoh, and then go back out there where the danger is. So when people ask, how did Moses get an audience? With Pharaoh, what is more amazing, how do you go out in all that kind of catastrophe when it's hail that actually killing people? What to say that this hail don't hit you? Why it doesn't hit you? Because you're protected by the Almighty, almost like the Psalm. He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So Moses demonstrated then that he could come when this is going up and say, it won't stop until I get out the city. He's not jumping 2 feet to get out the city. Neither is his brother Aaron jumping 2 feet to get out the city. And he's around all that thunder, all that hail with the fire in it that's killing anything outside. So that's a great miracle to even consider in that area there. Now we're going to the last series of plagues, the 8th, 9th, and 10th plague. So the Sidra open up is called bow. And bow, the word bow means to come. So why they say go as opposed to come? And it says, and the Lord said unto Moses, go in unto Pharaoh, and I hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that I might show these my signs in the midst of them, and that thou mayest know us, or that thou mayest tell in the ears of thy sons and thy sons' sons what I have wrought upon Egypt, and my signs which I have done among them, that ye may know that I am the Lord. And Moses and Aaron went in unto Pharaoh, and he said unto him, Thus said the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, how long wilt thou refuse to humble thyself before me? Let my people go, that thou mayest serve me. Else, if thou refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow I'll bring locusts into thy borders, and they shall cover the face of the earth, that one shall not be able to see the earth, and they shall eat the residue of that which escaped, which remaineth unto you from the hail, and shall eat every tree which groweth for you out of the field, and thy houses shall be filled, and the houses of all thy servants, and the house of all the Egyptians, as neither thy father nor thy father's father has seen since the day that they were upon the earth unto this day. And he turned and went out from Pharaoh. And Pharaoh's servant said unto him, How long shall this man be a snare unto us? Now, that last word up there, how long this man should be a snare unto us, they don't call him Moses by his name. It's a disparaging statement that's being made right here concerning Moses. So since they don't call him by his name at this time, it's like he's really a nobody, but yet he's doing so much as if he's somebody. And then he goes, Let the men go that they may serve the Lord their God. Knowest thou not yet that Egypt is destroyed? And Moses and Aaron were brought again unto Pharaoh, and he said unto them, Go serve the Lord your God, but who are they that shall go? Now, before I get into the 9th verse, I want to bring out a lot of points here, and I try not to be so long this time. One of the things is that the servants, Pharaoh, all of them they don't like the Israelites. All of them is upset with the Hebrews, but yet, just for a breather, this the first time you actually read where Pharaoh's courtiers, his main honchos, said, Look, you don't see what's going on? Now, desperation. Now, let's see how desperate they are. If they that desperate, when they address Pharaoh, who had the power of life or death, they say, You don't see what's going on? That we lost, that we being beat down, because of this man, we consider like a nobody. Let them go worship their God. It ain't our God. Let them go worship their God. So sometimes they said Moses had left. Aaron and Moses had left. And then he calls them back. That's a humbling experience. After they make the statement and he leaves and they talk derogatory, Pharaoh calls them back. So, my guys here, is feeling a certain way. I know what's going on too. And yet they come back. What is so remarkable, I find this whole saga as we go forward, is that the servants of Pharaoh stands up to him on this particular occasion. And yet nations been known to revolt over national problems, had civil unrest and overthrow kings because of the economy. And yet this is not going on at this particular time. What I find more remarkable throughout this whole saga is that usually when an empire is being attacked with different catastrophes and plagues and chaos, and it was the leading empire of the world, other nations will come in and say, well, let me get the spoils there, because I know they got a lot of stuff there we could use. The Creator in all this here time, and as we go through the very end, doesn't allow any other nation to interfere and attack Egypt while he's handling the business of liberating, his people, the children of Israel. So these are some of the miraculous things that you see, that while Egypt's getting beat down, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Ethiopians, and any of the children of the East, nobody is attacking Egypt when they're being attacked with these plagues. That should make you say, well, I'm not cool with the rest of the world. How is it that I'm being hit with all these different body shots and nobody else coming in and trying to take advantage of it at my weakest moment? Because you're supposed to be, God wanted to make sure that it's known that he did this and not no one else, that he's actually the deliverer for the children of Israel. So sometimes people need time to think things through. And let's see how well he's thinking through. So Moses and them had left and they came back, because sometimes you got to huddle with your counselors. They upset. I see what's going on. I understand that. I'd rather satisfy them, my counselors, to a degree, than satisfy Moses and his people desire and this God that I don't know. So this is some of the things that we find in this particular area here. So as we go further into it, the 9th verse, and Moses said, "We will go with our young, and with our old, and with our sons, and with our daughters, and with our flocks, and with our herds. We will go, for we must hold a feast unto the Lord." A cog. Most people, as we're going to see later on, that most people I'm around in certain communities would say that the Passover is just a holy occasion, but it's not a feast. Talk about that night, that the Feast of Unleavened Bread it is. Well, you're going to find from here on that actually when they talk about a feast, that Passover night is a feast. And the main part of a feast is having your main course, which is the basa, the meat. So this, we talk about the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which we're going to come through, come through within this saga. But yet the Passover is considered a feast itself, even though it technically ends at sunrise, that portion of it, where Feast of Unleavened Bread continues to go on from that day, that morning, to the end of the period. So, for those that will look at it quite careful in Hebrew, you'll see the word chag, and a root part of chag within this particular portion. So, as we go further, he told me everybody got to go. And the 10th verse said, and he said to them, "So be the Lord with you, as I let you go, and your little ones see that evil is before your face. Not so, go now, ye that are men, and serve the Lord. For that is what you desire." And they were driven out from Pharaoh's presence. So that means right in and there, though Pharaoh's heart was told to be hardened by the Creator at this particular point in time, his servants had a wishy-washy heart as well. And their heart would be hardened because they worried about the nation and the catastrophe that's hitting the nation, but they set on exercising their tyrannical authority over a people and contesting with a God that has power over what we call, for lack of a better word, nature. And what's unique about this, when we look back at in the early parts of this particular encounter with the Creator and Moses, is when he asked about a name, and he said he was not known by the Tetragrammaton to the patriarchs, because only at this point in time, from the time that Moses come down and he start striking the land of Egypt, hitting Egypt being hit with those 10 plagues. All right, when they started hit with those plagues, this is the first time that you find that the Creator is exercising an authority over what most men would refer to as nature. The patriarchs never experienced anything like that. Abraham never experienced anything like that. Neither did Isaac experience anything like that. Neither have Jacob. This is the first time we see that the actual nature of things being played out in front of everybody's eyes. And that's why this God here is making himself known that I'm over whatever you think is normal. So this is one of the great things dealing with this particular portion. So I'm just going to go a little, since it's only 3 plagues, and try to get through this a little faster. And so we know automatically that, the plague of the locusts came, and did their thing. All right, so we're going to skip on down. And from an east wind, of course, the east wind bring them in. And 16th verse said, Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron in haste. And he said, I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you. Now, therefore, forgive, I pray thee, my sin only this once. Now, only this once. This is the only time he considered himself as a sinner. Before, I told you the word game, God and I, as opposed to the people being wicked. So he separated himself from the people. But this time, he actually admit that he's no good. He's the one that's doing the wrong. And he said, now, therefore, forgive, I pray thee, my sin only this one time. So Pharaoh ain't asking for a second chance. Only this once. And entreat the Lord your God that he may take away from me this death only. Ain't that something? Said, I figured this should be done now. This is the last hurrah. After locusts done took it and wiped out everything that the hell didn't take out, then what more can it do to me? So naturally, thinking like a man and like a tyrant, that I got nothing left for you to do. My servant said, look at it, before the locusts came, do you realize that Egypt is lost? So what more left can you actually do to me? So I only need you to do, just get rid of this one time. I can't see nothing else coming more heavier than that. Though he was told, I can't see anything heavier than that. So, 18th verse, and he went out from Pharaoh and entreated the Lord. And the Lord turned an exceeding strong west wind, which took up the locusts and drove them into the Yam Suf, they say Red Sea in English, but but it's Sea of Reeds. There remained not one locust in all the borders of Egypt, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not let the children of Israel go. All right. That means made him stay firm to what he really wanted to do. And then it goes on to play. And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thy hand towards heaven, that it may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be left. And Moses stretched forth his hand towards heaven, and there was thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. All right. One thing I just to bring out right quick in that area there is that the series still continue. Pharaoh is warned except on the 3rd plague. So in the series of 3, the 3rd plague happens without a warning. The 6th plague happens without a warning. And now we get ready to the 9th plague happening without a warning. And let's jump in. And so we know automatically that darkness came up, said for 3 days. There's always a discussion concerning the 3 days in reference to the darkness, because at night it normally should be dark. So some people say 6 days, by some tradition, and the nighttime be a natural dark. But this darkness was a unique individual darkness. So I don't worry about the debate on both sides. I just know that this darkness was unusual. It was thick. And since it was a thick darkness, there, and it was a terrifying thing in that sense where you couldn't even strike a match to, get this darkness off you. And it just happened without a warning. So now, when we think at the last three plagues we're coming into, and we deal with the plague of the locust, the plague of darkness, and then we get into the final plague of the death of the firstborn, what we find that all three of those plagues has something to do with darkness. All three. The locusts block out the sky, where it block out the sun, where it was just dark. They couldn't see. That's how many locusts it was, where they block out the light of the sun. When it gets down to this plague, what make this plague so unusual is that not only is a plague of darkness, but how is it that you could say it's dark only on this side of the street, and on the other side of the street is light, and you can't see the light from where you at because you're in the dark side. But you can't see the light on the other side of the street. But the people that's in the light can see the darkness across the street. So we know we've seen rain, in our time, where it's raining on one side of the street and not raining on the other side of the street. Or you can see it raining up ahead, not raining where you at. And so you can see it, you can see the rain even traveling. But the darkness itself, and it's dark, when you're in an area that's dark and it's a light lit outside of the darkness, you should be able to see that light even, outside that darkness. But yet the light that existed on the outside of the darkness didn't even penetrate in the darkness. So the people inside the darkness could not see the light that's on the other side of that darkness. But the people in the light could see it's dark over there. So that is one profound, thing that's, defies all kinds of concept and imagination when we have this saying that a dying candle shines the brightest. When it's about to go out, it shines, the light on the candle is the most brightest. So these are some of the things to look at in that area there. And it talks about in various parts of the scripture, other parts of the book, about how the effects of the darkness were on the Egyptians. Even in the Apocrypha, it talks about it a little bit in reference to that. So then we're going to skip down to the 11th chapter of Bo. Before we get to that, before we get to 11, I'd like to bring this here. All right, let me see here. 24. All right. And 24th verse of the 10th chapter. And Pharaoh called unto Moses and said, Go ye serve the Lord, only let your flocks and your herds be stayed. Let your little ones also go with you. And Moses said, Thou must also give unto our hand sacrifices and burnt offerings, that we may sacrifice unto the Lord our God. Our cattle shall also go with us. There shall not be a hoof left behind, for thereof must we take to serve the Lord our God. And we know not what we must serve the Lord until we come thither. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go. And Pharaoh said unto him, Get thee from me, take heed to thyself, see my face no more, for in the day thou seest my face, thou shalt die. And Moses said, Thou hast spoken well. I will see thy face again no more. So one of the things about this here, don't the Israelites had Pharaoh called for Moses, but when did he call for him? All right. He didn't call for him in the dark. The Egyptians was petrified in the dark. the minute the darkness has subsided on its own, I mean, with the Creator, when the Creator allowed the darkness to subside, that's when he called for Moses. And that's when he tried to make some new concessions. And he wants some collateral. In other words, why the collateral? Because we had plagues that killed our animals. We had you wonder where the Egyptians get these new, all this new cattle and stuff like that. Because some, the cattle that the Egyptian might have owned with the Israelites together, sometimes people would like work together and say, well, I can't afford this, by myself. So we're going to share this here. We're going to share the expenses. So we get common stock in this here, ox or whatever it is in this herd. So that, those are some of the, things there. Or Egypt still has stuff, where they can annex what they want from the people, or they could have trade. But I doubt if anybody want to be trading with the people that's getting hit with all kind of drama at this particular point in time. So you almost like inside of a barless prison in your borders. So those are some things you could consider and talk about concerning those different things I brought up. So he threatened them, but he wanted security. So they're going to the last plague. And the Lord said unto Moses, yet one more plague will I bring upon Pharaoh, upon Egypt. Afterwards he will let you go hence. When he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether. Speak now in the ears of the people, and let them ask every man of his neighbor, and every woman of her neighbor, jewels of silver, jewels of gold. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. Moreover, the man Moses was very great in the land of Egypt, in the sight of Pharaoh's servants, and in the sight of the people. That means Moses developed a rep. He developed a reputation there. So one, the people of Egypt didn't, they held them in high esteem. Because first of all, he did consider in one of the plagues a warning for those that fear God and believe in God. So he's held in high esteem. Number, also knowing that, the plague of darkness is over with, and all they want to do is leave and go serve God. So it is that God telling, it's most books might say borrow from the Egyptians, but the word is ask, in Hebrew. Shoel is, present tense verb, asking. So they was told to ask, and why it translates as borrowing, that's something you could discuss later on in most books. But the word in Hebrew is just to ask him for something. And to ask him when this last plague coming, you know how tragic it is. Well, but we get to it in a few moments. But this last plague that's coming, said one more plague, and the Pharaoh going to thrust you out. In other words, after the last plague, you're going to stick around. And then one of the things is, which I address next time in Beshalah, why do people want to stay there so long? Anyway, when things get bad, most people move. When there's no food, people move. Jacob came down there because of the things, the hardship in the land of Canaan, and also to see Joseph. More so, he could have dealt with the hardship as long as he could buy and bring it back, but to see his son Joseph and die, which he did. So, what happened all these years? And I like to bring this out as well. Again, I like to remind people, because I've been hearing different things with people I talk with over the course of a week, is that I must remind you, this is not the same Pharaoh that started the harsh edicts against the children of Israel. The same Pharaoh that started the harsh edicts, the one that actually said, let's deal with them with wise counsel, all right? Because the people were stronger and mighty than us. Because war break out, they would join with the opposition. Well, no war broke out and they didn't join with the opposition, but yet the Egyptians having problems coming from God. That Pharaoh there that came up with that and dealt with them. The Pharaoh that talked with the midwives. The Pharaoh that wanted Moses' life. All those, and it raised up Moses, by the way. The one that raised up Moses and then wanted his life, those guys are dead. All the people that wanted to kill Moses is dead now. So this is another Pharaoh that where you don't read about where say did not know or acknowledge Joseph. So this is a different Pharaoh. We could say a contemporary of Moses in age and everything. So but this is a different Pharaoh here, not the same one. But he kept certain policies in place. So as we go further in this area here, we look a little bit further and it says, Nabar, and then in the 4th verse, 11th chapter. And Moses said, thus said the Lord, about midnight I will go out in the midst of Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn of cattle. And there shall be a great cry all throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there have not, as there have been none like it, nor shall it be like it anymore. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog wag his tongue, against man or beast, that you may know how that the Lord does put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. And all these thy servants shall come down unto me and bow down unto me and say, get thee out, all of the people that follow thee, and after that I will go out. And he went out from Pharaoh in hot anger. Now, this is one area where Moses really shows his anger again. Anger got him in trouble before. It got him in trouble at the end of his life. And now, this is one of the few times he's angry in a real humane fashion. Now, we ain't talking about we know about the situation when he rescued, this Hebrew that's getting beat down by Egyptian. But we don't know all the details, that goes on with that. But in a real fashion, because now Moses realized a death on that scale to destroy all the people, the firstborn of Egypt, in the land of Egypt, that is phenomenal, because whatever power the nation going to be, it's never going to be as great as it could be, because all the elite firstborns, the beginning of strength of a nation, is wiped out at one time. And then we read earlier, and I'm going to pose this question here. So I'm going to do it because I'm going to be running out of time shortly in this particular section. Is if we know Pharaoh is being exempt in this area here, and we find in the earlier chapters why he was exempt and why he was able to still stay alive. But I put this question here with this scenario for you to discuss more with your teachers, and I put it out with a couple of people already, and pretty much most of them came up with the same answer. But I would like you to consider, and perhaps you didn't catch the scenario that it brought out that well, is that if it was a man, when this last plague come in, the death of the firstborn, he's a firstborn man. All right, he have a firstborn son. This firstborn man has no siblings. His father's not around. He has no wife, because the wife had passed on. His son is too young to have a wife. They live alone in this particular house. All right, just their house, just him raising his one son. All right, humble, meager individual. He ain't got a bunch of servants. He's pretty much a poor man. I'll just paint a scenario like that. So now, when the death of the firstborn come, do both of them die, or just the son die? It's normal if I said just the father died and the son's still alive, even though he become an orphan, somebody might pick him up and take care of him. But in the case of that night, according to the edict, does both of them die or not? And then when we go back to Exodus, the 4th chapter, 22nd verse, it said, Israel, my son, even my firstborn. Then, if you don't let my firstborn go, I will slay your firstborn. Was the animals included in that? And so it said the firstborn son, I would say your firstborn son. So now do we have something that's a little bit different here when we read the chapter? Because now it's included in the animals. And in everybody, Egyptian, non-Egyptian captives you may have. So, and we got to always bear in mind when we do the analysis, justice, and also every household where you're supposed to hear a crying at. If I'm the only one in the household, me and my son, both leave, that household should be silent. The next door neighbor should be crying on their own. And as I'm going to go just a little bit further into this, because I know I ain't going to have time to finish it. There's so much stuff in here that the Creator gave Israelites a ruling, first of all. All right, we got the institution of the Passover in this particular portion. I'm just going to talk about it here in the 12th verse. All right. It says, 12th chapter. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months, and shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th month, 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to their father's house, a lamb for a household. And if the household be too little for a lamb, then shall he and his neighbor next unto his house take one according to the number of the souls, according to every man's eating. Ye shall make your account for the land. So now we're talking about what's going on, in reference to the Passover being instituted. But before the Passover being instituted, it talks about a month. If we say Pharaoh, the first Pharaoh that made the edict, recognized the people as a nation. But part of being a nation is that do you have certain laws, curriculum, a standard, a constitutional type of thing? All those things we get in degrees at developing in a nation. First of all, am I really a nation? Though they see me as a nation, I'm a nation when I can define my time. I need to be able to be in control of my time in order to be a free nation. So therefore, now it didn't say that the other months and the calendars didn't exist. The way you're gonna mark time, you ain't gonna mark time according to the solar calendar that the Egyptians used. You're gonna mark time not according to the year changes as everybody else used. You're gonna mark your sacred time from this point on, which is the month of Abi, which I might speak on later on in another talk. When I get to the next citrus, I should say. But the month of Abi. So now we can say this is a calendar. So our time is calculated from the month of Abib or Nisan, as some people refer to it, and that's it's the first month for us. And when the year changed, as most people know, what they call Rosh Hashanah, that's the 7th month, counting from the month of Abib. So when we look at that and say, well, why at that particular time? And why that particular season? And then we're talking about a lunar calendar, so you're talking about 29 and a half days. A lunar calendar as opposed to with sun worship. And the thing is, we're not told while we got a lunar calendar, I'm going to bring out a few points here, and then I'm going to go to the Proverbs. Is that when we talk about a lunar calendar as opposed to a solar calendar, in a sense, let's look at the two elements. Now we know in Babylon they worship the moon, and in Egypt they worship the sun. In the Chaldeans, they was a moon, worshipers, but we don't worship either. But what lesson do we learn by having a lunar calendar? Is that the sun, it shines, and it shines for itself, and everything else try to absorb what they can from the sun, for their benefit. So, but the sun actually shines for itself. Such Pharaoh, pretty much, in Egypt, living for themselves. Everybody's independent only about themselves, self-gratification. But when we look at the moon gets light from the sun, but it don't hold it. It reflects that light. So, in other words, we as a people shouldn't be focused on self-gratification. We should be focusing on helping other people, bringing other people closer to the Creator. So it's not about, the nation of Israel as a people only being built up. Our job in serving the Creator would be to help other people get close to the Creator. So we will reflect that godliness that we receive from the Creator to the outside world. So therefore, like the moon reflect, we will also reflect that type of godliness to the outside world. So hence, we focus on the lunar calendar. And then when we offer up a sacrifice, later on, when we find about sacrifice on Rosh Chodesh, on the new moon, it's not to the moon, even though it says it's on that day for the new moon. It's for a sacrifice to the Lord. When we read it carefully, it says a sacrifice to the Lord. So that it's not towards the moon itself. We know also that as you go further down, a lot of people think about the death angel coming through that particular night, and when God said that shall not a dog wet his tongue. Usually when you are slaughtering the lamb, dogs can smell blood throughout the whole neighborhood. And they start to barking because they want some of the meat. They smell the blood. But the dogs themselves will not even be barking like that, making all kind of noise because they slaughtered this particular lamb. Also, we got in our law that when there's something is torn by beasts, it said we can't eat it. One of the areas is give it to the dogs. We know also that we're going to find this particular portion, which I'm not going to get into today, but I'll try to touch on it before I'm in Beshalah next week. Is we get some other protocols about the institution of the Passover and what it entails in that particular time. And one of the things that we got to realize too, because a lot of people give credit to a death angel, and even a death angel destroying the Egyptians, but we read in the scriptures that the Creator not only says what time that He's going to actually pass through the land of Egypt, to around about midnight, but He took it personal and going to destroy all the firstborn. He's the only one that's capable of it. But it says that when He see the blood on the upper door and two side doorposts of the houses of the Israelites where they roast the lamb, He said, I will not suffer the destroyer to come in to you. But he took the job personal. So this is the only time you find that an actual God actually went and took care of business for a particular people directly and redeeming them. So the destroyer was set where if we didn't do what we need to do, then we would be liable. The Creator is the only one that could say guilty or not guilty, give you a pass or not give you a pass. When you do what you need to do, then you got to pass and say, so the Creator and when we think about it even carefully, if I'm here to rescue you, why should I kill you? Why should I destroy you? So I'm giving you some safety factors to make sure that nobody else destroy you while I'm going out to destroy. So it's a lot of stuff that we could extract from that area there. And then since when people tell you how to cook your food, they say roast it. So, and tell you don't add a whole bunch of seasoning stuff to it, not to soak it. So you're taught by the Creator and told exactly how this meat should be prepared. And most times in a fetal position, when they had that lamb put the head with the innards and everything like that, so normally it would be like in a fetal position when they roast it, and just flip it over on one side on a stick, whatever the case is. So this is mostly the one way that they did it at that particular time. So I'm just going to speak on just a little bit in that area, and I'll get back to it next week. Part of it, because some of the things that's instituted at this particular time concerning this particular feast, the Passover feast. And our liberation actually started that night. Though we didn't leave for several days out the land of Egypt, and we didn't get to leave, we left that night. And we told also that night at the meal how to eat. Eat in a hurry. Shoes on your feet. Staff in your hand. Loins girded. That's not comfortable. That means that you're getting ready to travel. And it's the first time, and what is even more dynamic, from the time Moses had went to the elders and Pharaoh intensified the workload on the Israelites, Moses never talked to the Israelites again until this particular time, when he's coming to this last plague. So that means from the first plague all the way to this particular 10th plague, from the time Moses came back and said, look, God, I made things worse. The people only want to hear me because of shortness of spirit. This is the first time Moses actually got a chance now to communicate with the elders and the nation of Israel. All this stuff he doing independent of communication with the nation of Israel. Now, can you imagine that? But that's another thing you could discuss, further. But we're going to go to the book of Proverbs, the 15th chapter, and I'll try to cover some other stuff before I'm going to Beshalach next week. So
we're in the book of Proverbs, chapter 15. 1 second here. Starting from verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
A soft answer turneth away wrath, but a grievous word stirreth up anger. Okay,
that's it. All right. Let me just give you highlights of the Proverbs. We've been reading mostly through it. It's grouping about the power of speech, God's omnipotence and omnipresence, all knowing and ever presence, and then accepting and rejecting certain types of advice. Righteousness and wickedness, contrast in those areas. Scorners, life attitudes, anger, laziness, children and parents, fools and wise men, pride, greed, humility, and the fear of God. That's what this whole Proverbs covered, because I know I'll be reading most of it through it. So I just want to give you a highlight and say what the Proverbs cover. So now, when we talk about, a soft answer turns away wrath, but grievous word stirs up anger. Some books might say strife. All right. When we look at the area of Gideon, and we go back into the book of Judges, in the book of Judges, the eighth chapter, first 1 to 3 verses, whatever it is, the beginning of the book of Judges, 8th chapter, you find that Gideon had an issue with the Ephraimites, but the way he talked to them, he pacified them, so no war broke out. But then you find another guy, Yehudah, when he addressed the same people, the Ephraimites, we had a serious war because his words was harsh. And it stirred up. So sometimes, soft answer might save conflict, conflict where sometimes you might speak hard, though you might be right, it's going to create a problem. And so you got to be mindful, how you think, how you talk. And mind you, both of these guys, it's pretty much, like I say, they're from the tribe of Manasseh, and it's the same issue with both of the guys with the tribe of Ephraim. All right, but let's read a little bit further.
Verse 2, it reads, "The tongue of the wise use of knowledge all right, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. The eyes of Jehovah are in every place, keeping watch upon the evil and the good.
Okay.
A soothing tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a wound to the spirit."
Okay. All right. So right then and there, what I mean? People like, even Israelites when they're doing wrong in the book, we tell the prophets, we want you to tell us smooth things. We don't want to hear all this drama. We know we're wrong, but I don't want to hear about how wrong I am. Can you see anything good that I'm doing? Everybody, by the very nature of their being, want to hear somebody tell them that they're doing something good. By very nature of their being, they don't want to hear that much about how wrong they're doing. But a wise man with love reproof. All right, but let's go a little further.
Verse 5 reads, "A fool despiseth his father's correction, but he that regardeth reproof is prudent.
Keep going.
In the house of the righteous is much treasure, but in the revenues of the wicked is trouble."
All right there and there. So keep going. We finish out the 7.
"The lips of the wise disperse knowledge, but the heart of the foolish is not steadfast."
Okay. So you're talking about an opportunist as opposed, as far as a guy to say, look here, I'm looking for the opportunity. I'm not trying to work my way, to gain certain, wealth or assets. So that's a fickle policy of fools, opportunists. All right, keep going.
8, verse 8, it reads, "The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to Jehovah, but the prayer of the upright is his delight."
And I was talking the prayer of the upright. Why would an upright man be praying? So that I won't sin. Keep me away from sin. Keep me from messing up. That's why you pray. All right. If you upright already, that means right then and there that you're doing okay. You're doing okay. And you want to stay on that course. You don't want to fall off that course. If you're doing okay because I'm upright, I'm living a certain way, I don't want to go off that course. Don't we read about the big controversy with Job? And big controversy with Job. People say, no, Job, you had to do something wrong for all this to come on. You had to, no, we done checked the records in history, man. We didn't see anybody that go through stuff like this unless they did something against a God. So so a righteous man, all right, man, he prayed that he don't come into sin. Job even offer up just in case his children sin against God and they curse God in their heart, not even verbally. So that's what a upright man pray for. But go ahead.
Verse 9, "The way of the wicked is an abomination to Jehovah, but he loveth him that followeth after righteousness."
Okay, all right, that's pretty clear. Keep going.
"There is grievous correction for him that forsaketh the way, and he that hateth reproof shall die."
In other words, right then and there. All right. When you some people say, "Oh man, I just could die from all that," exaggerate. It don't mean just strictly die immediately, but the thing is that you get beat down so bad, that you felt like you died. But some people would take it, saying, "Well, I'm just going to die," So if you hate reproof, shall die. Sometimes you could get beat down so bad that you felt like you died because of certain drama in your life. But go ahead. So it say learn the hard way.
Verse 11, it reads, "The netherworld and destruction are before Jehovah. How much more then the hearts of the children of men?
Okay.
Scorn the love of not to be reproved. He will not go on to the wise."
Okay. All right. Right then and there, I'm a guy like to always, talk about things, scorn people, find negative in a person. You know, he don't want to hear nothing about himself. He's so busy talking about and finding fault with everybody else. So he don't need to hear anything about what I'm doing wrong, even though I'm doing wrong at the time. I don't want to hear about I'm doing wrong. All right. Let me point out you're wrong. And then, sometimes when you tell a person what you're doing is not good, and the same person might say, well, you ain't doing no better, blah, 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 blah. So you trying to help them by saying what you're doing is no good. And they're going to look for all kind of fault in you. We got people like that. All right, continue.
Verse 13, it reads, a merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of heart the spirit is broken.
Okay, all right. Okay, keep going.
The heart of him that have discernment seeketh knowledge, but the mouth of fools feedeth on folly.
Okay.
All the days of the poor are evil, but he that is of a merry heart have a continual feast.
Okay.
Better is a little with the fear of Yehovah than a great treasure in turmoil therewith.
Okay, right then and there. That's very important. One of the things is I'm not famous. I'm not super rich. So I can walk down most neighborhoods without being kidnapped. You know, I can walk down most neighborhoods without people, trying to say, well, I know he got a lot of money. I know he got a lot of this and that and the other. The people I love and care for could walk down. I don't have to worry about them snatching them up to get to me. Don't you know a lot of people that got a lot of money got to worry about some of their loved ones that's close in their family being snatched up because say, well, okay, I got a hostage crisis going on. Kidnap victim. How much you love them? Now it become a thing, my money or this individual. Cousin John, we weren't that good anyway. We weren't that tight anyway. So all that stuff, come up. All right. Continue.
18, it reads, better is a den of herbs where love is than a stall ox and hatred therewith.
Okay.
A wrathful man stirreth up the discord, but he that is slow to anger a piece of strife. The way of the sluggard is as though hedged by thorns, but the path of the upright is even. A wise son maketh a glad father, but a foolish man despiseth his mother.
All right, hold right there. Now, before we go further, I'm going to pick up from the last one. All right, 19. All right, the way of the sluggard is as though hedged by thorns, but the path of the upright is even. See, a lazy individual, he can find a lot of reasons why I can't do this. I got a lot. We come with all these excuses. We have a thing where say, "Oh, thou inexcusable one." We could definitely reason why I'm not taking care of this. I'm not taking care of that. More often than not, from time to time, we procrastinate about doing a lot of things. Me myself, sometimes I say, "Oh, that's not important right now." It need to be done, but I declassify it. I declassify it as being important. So I'm gonna put this on the sideline now because but it need to be done, and that's what everybody is sometime in life. Most of us, since we have time, we squander time, and we squander time and sometime in our daily activity. So I say, this need to be done. I got it. You got to take care of that. So you got a list of things on the item need to be addressed, and you say, all right, let me see which is more important. But this was more important the day before. But now I'm gonna declassify. It's no longer that important. This is more important now. I'm gonna push this one back a little bit. I can hold this one off. And so we used to, when I was coming up, we say procrastination is a thief of time. Because when you get it, you ain't getting it back. All right. So we gotta be more prudent in the way we organize ourselves. That's what the Proverbs is saying. Continue.
Verse 21, it reads, folly is joy to him that lacketh understanding, but a man of discernment walketh straight forwards.
Keep
For
going.
one of counsel purposes are frustrated, but in the multitude of counselors they are established.
Oh, well, you got to talk to people about certain things, and especially any great undertaking. You know, you got sometimes your head is not big enough to have all the information. You know, you got sometimes get a bunch of heads together and try to discuss things that could be benefit for you. And one of the things is that we got to realize that whatever we do affects somebody in our life. Start with us, but it also affects other people. So we don't live in the world by ourselves. So sometimes you got to get counsel on any great undertaking. All right. And they talk about it enough. You got to talk to people. All right. Read a little bit further.
Verse 23, it reads, a man have joy in the answer of his mouth, and the word in due season, how good is it?
All right. So just timing. Some people have poor timing with certain things. You know what I mean? You know, it's one of the things I notice some people, if a person had passed on, and you know, just had recently another close member of the family members, not a family member, but you know, close friend to the family as a whole, had lost somebody in their family, immediate family, and they would call. If they get you on the phone, they would talk with you about the person that I had made transition, because messages like that you don't leave on the phone. You know, you don't leave that kind of thing. You would talk to the individual directly, you know, instead of leaving it where, oh, I got a voicemail. Thus and thus is the case. You know, it's best, you know, when you have a case like that, you say, oh, call me. I got something to tell you. Like that. That's the better way. I continue.
Verse 24 reads, the path of life goeth upward for the wise, that he may depart from the netherworld beneath. Yehovah will pluck up the house of the proud, but he will establish the border of the widow.
Okay, ain't that something? Now, a widow already lost somebody. She's alone. She's a widow. All right. But a proud individual, you know what I mean? That means that you think you did it on your own. It's almost like we read in the Haftorah concerning Egypt, the metaphor, the croc in the Nile said, the Nile is mine. I did this. So this is what it's talking about there. All right, let's continue. A few more verses.
Verse 26, it reads, the thoughts of wickedness are an abomination to Yehovah, but words of pleasantness are pure. He that is greedy of gain troubleth his own house, but he that hateth gifts shall live.
Keep going.
The heart of the righteous studieth to answer, but the mouth of the wicked poureth out evil things.
Keep going.
Yehovah is far from the wicked, but he heareth the prayer of the righteous.
All right. So I mean, it's no word so secret that go for naught. All right. Pick up the last few.
Verse 30. The light of thy eyes rejoiceth the heart, and a good report maketh the bones fat.
Keep going.
The ear that hearkeneth to the reproof of life abideth among the wise. He that refuseth correction despiseth his own soul, but he that hearkeneth to reproof getteth understanding. The fear of Yehovah is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor goeth humility. Hallelujah.
All right. So right there and there, you know, the instruction, discipline, Musa. That's the Hebrew word for Musa. That's an instruction or discipline. That's what it is when you say Musa, you know, in Hebrew. All right. The fear of God is not reached by wisdom, but by the discipline of wisdom. Because you can know a lot, but you don't have no discipline. You got a lot of people that know a lot, you know, and we know the wise man ever lived, you know, who write this. Loan is hard to follow in madness. Some of us don't loan it, we give it over. Solomon was able to loan it and get it back, you know, get back to its right senses. All right. That's why, you know, I mean, you know, we got to, you know, keep that humility, you know, and it's, you know, in turn, lead to the fear of God. All right. You know, when you have discipline, when you mess up, you know, you can rebound, you know, you can make a rebound in wisdom. All right. So I hope you got some of what I said. I know I went to the Proverbs pretty fast because there's so much stuff in the Sidra bowl. So I would try to cover some of the stuff I left out. and highlight some of the things in the 12th and 13th chapter going forward into Beshalah for next week. So I hope everybody have, I'm saying Shalom Aleichem, I hope everybody have an early Shabbat. I'm a good Shabbat. So early Shabbat, Shalom.
Hallelujah. Torah about Nasik. Thank you all. Shalom, shalom. May the Most High God bless each and every one of you. Hallelujah.
Let's get knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We'll do our standing. All praises to the Most High, His laws and commandments. The CHOKMAH BINAH here to push it through your speakers. Judgment, truth, and love should be coming from the leaders. Yeah, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We'll do our standing. All praises to the Most High, His laws and commandments. The CHOKMAH BINAH here to push it through your speakers. Judgment, truth, and love should be coming from the